Welcome to Wishwell Farms, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my favorite organic pest control products that we use on our farm for keeping the insects at bay that are out to destroy my vegetable crops. If you happen to be new to my channel, my name is Jason. I am a 4th generation farmer here in Ohio. I have owned and operated our 65-acre vegetable farm for the past 25 years. In addition to growing 1,000 tomato plants out in our fields, we also grow 2,500 tomato plants in 4 different greenhouses that we harvest for our early farmers markets. Insect pests such as aphids, whiteflies, thrips, spider mites, worms and caterpillars can get out of control very quickly. So keeping these harmful insects in check can make a big difference in the health of your plants, as well as the appearance of your vegetable crops that you are going to want to be eating yourself or selling to your customers if you happen to be growing them for sale. And more than ever for us, we have noticed over the years that our customer base is becoming increasingly more concerned about what is being sprayed on the vegetable crops that we are selling them at farmers markets. So I have kind of taken it upon myself to test a lot of different products on our farm to see what works and doesn't work. And many of these items are very expensive. So it's been good for us to be able to test these in our greenhouses on a square footage basis versus out in the open field on a large acreage basis, where if something doesn't work, you're out a lot of money. So like I mentioned already, the 5 items I'm getting ready to show you are all labeled for organic use. So you can rest assured that if you need to use these in your garden or in your fields, that it's safe to eat or sell to your customers. I will be sharing the names of these products, how they work, the rate that we use, and how we mix them and apply them to our crops. All right, let's jump right in and talk about my 5 favorite organic pest control products that we use at Wishwell Farms. Product number 1, Azaguard. The active ingredient of Azaguard is azadactrin, which is the extract of neem oil. This is 3% azadactrin. And I want to use my cheat sheet here to tell you a little bit more about it. It is an insect growth regulator that offers broad spectrum insecticidal control on over 300 insect species. The way it works is it prevents molting between the larval, pupal, and nymphal stages. So this is one of my main products that I use in controlling thrips in my greenhouse tomatoes. Like I mentioned, it controls over 300 different species of insects, but thrips is the main one that we are trying to control in our 4 greenhouses where we grow hydroponic tomatoes. The rate that we use on Azaguard is 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon, and normally I use 2 teaspoons. Product number 2 is a pyrethrum called Evergreen. Grab my cheat sheet again here. So pyrethrum is pyrethrins, which is an extract of the chrysanthemum flower. They disrupt the insect nervous system, leading to paralysis and death. It is fast acting and kills more than 140 different insects. It is for indoor and outdoor production. And just like the azadactrin, I use 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. Product number 3, Botaniguard. I have a wettable powder version and an ES version, which is the liquid. Botaniguard is a myco-insecticide. It is a strain of fungus that adheres to the insect and penetrates the cuticle and grows inside, disrupting the feeding of the insect, and it eventually dies. Like I mentioned, the ES is the liquid version, and we use 1 ounce to the gallon. The wettable powder, we use 2 tablespoons to the gallon. Product number 4, NoFly. NoFly is also a myco-insecticide. It works similar to Botaniguard, but it is a different strain of fungus. Death occurs within 2 to 5 days using myco-insecticides, and we use 2 tablespoons to the gallon of water. Product number 5, Dipel Bt. The Bt stands for Bacillus, let's see if I can pronounce this right, thuringiensis. And it's just another strain of bacteria, kind of like the myco-insecticides. This does work slightly different, and this is what you want to use if you are fighting worms and caterpillars. We use this on everything where we're going to have any kind of worms or caterpillars, whether it's tomatoes in our greenhouse or cabbage loopers or anything on your brassica and cole crops out in your fields. It does a great job. And the way it works is when the worms consume the Bt, the toxin binds to the receptors in their gut lining, leading to paralysis and gut damage. It disrupts their ability to digest food, and within a few days, they die from starvation or other complications. And we use 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. All right, here's the 2 sprayers that we use in our greenhouses. I will not be demonstrating how we spray any of this outdoors because we don't have any plants planted yet. It's too early in the season. However, we have 4 greenhouses full of hydroponic tomatoes, and these 2 sprayers and the products that we talked about work great in our greenhouses. So this little sprayer here is the HD4000 from Petra Tools. I've only had this for a few weeks, but I absolutely love it. It is a battery-powered backpack sprayer, but I had it come with this little cart. So I can just walk up and down my rows pulling the sprayer, and I turn on the battery power, and I have constant pressure through this little wand, which I really like because it has 2 sets of nozzles, so I can get really good coverage. Now, for many years, I've been using this large 25-gallon sprayer with a 150-foot hose with this awesome spray wand, and it's powered by a motor. It's high pressure, and I can cover a lot of area very quickly. It is just slightly inconvenient because I have to unwind the hose and pull it to the back of the greenhouse, and I can spray both sides as I'm walking backwards, and then I have to roll the hose back up on the reel back here and then move to a different aisleway and repeat the process. So doing that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in 4 different greenhouses can be somewhat time consuming. So it's best to have a partner helping me when I use that sprayer. So if I happen to have a huge insect outbreak that gets out of control and I need to cover a lot of area very quickly with great coverage, I will use the larger sprayer, high pressure sprayer. But this little backpack sprayer is phenomenal. This is what we're going to load right now, and I'm going to show you how it works. I like to use the water in my blue mixing tank. I just use this half-gallon jug to fill the backpack sprayer. So I'm going to dump a couple gallons into it right now, and then we will mix our pest control products in there, and I'll show you how I do that. The main reason I'm using this water is because it's already tempered to 70 degrees. It's already pH adjusted to 5.8, and it already has some fertilizer in it, which can't hurt for foliar spraying. All right, so I have the sprayer half full. Now let's mix up our products. So today we are using the liquid version of Botaniguard and Azaguard. I normally like to use 2 different items as a mixture to make sure I have different modes of action to kill the insects. So the mainstay item in my mix every time is always going to be Azaguard, 2 teaspoons to the gallon. I will switch back and forth between Botaniguard and NoFly. Not really because I'm worried about the insects building up a resistance to it, because I don't think that can happen with these products, with the way these work, with the spores, the bacteria. The main reason I do it is just so I have different modes of action and controlling different insects at different stages of their life cycle. So today we're going to be using Azaguard and Botaniguard, and then next week I'll be using Azaguard and NoFly instead of Botaniguard. And then maybe once a month I'll even change it up again and not use the Azaguard and maybe use Evergreen and do the same thing, rotating back and forth between Botaniguard and NoFly. The only time I will use the Dipel Bt for worms is later on when I start seeing hornworms get into my tomatoes. And they don't really get into this greenhouse because this one is all fully automated. You can see the sides have dropped to cool it off in here. It's all controlled by the computer. So at night, they are always all the way up. And moths cannot fly in here and lay eggs, which would result in having hornworms. Now the rest of my greenhouses look like this one. These are roll-up sides. So I will manually crank up the roll-up side and roll it up about 3 or 4 feet. And on hot, late May and June and July weather, it's so warm at night, I don't need to close these at night. It gets to be a real inconvenience when I'm busy farming in the fields all day. So oftentimes these sides will be left up at night, overnight, and that's when the moths fly in and lay their eggs. Ideally, I would just shut that every night and I'd probably never have to deal with hornworms ever again. But I do, and the Dipel Bt takes care of them like that. All right, I got a container of water here with about a half gallon in it. And here's my Botaniguard ES. Give it a little shake. By the way, this one just needs stored at room temperature. The NoFly has to be stored refrigerated around 46 degrees. So I leave it inside my house in the refrigerator, and you want to get it out about 24 hours and let it warm up to room temperature before you mix it and use it so the spores are alive and active. It's a living, there's living spores in it, so you gotta treat it carefully or you will kill them and it will be ineffective. So there are spores in here and they are alive and well because this is brand new and I've been storing it at room temperature. We want 1 ounce per gallon, so we're gonna put 4 ounces in here. There's my 4 ounces. I'm going to dump it in here. And I'm going to stir it and mix it in this jug first, instead of just directly dumping it straight product right into my backpack sprayer. There's our milky substance of goodness. It's going to take care of some thrips. Now I'm going to refill this again for the Azaguard. Now because these products are very expensive, I don't want to waste any of it. So I got some residue there. I'm going to let some water come in there and rinse it out a little bit and dump it in my sprayer. All right, we need 8 teaspoons of Azaguard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Normally I use a tablespoon. I convert the teaspoons to tablespoons, so I have to measure out less or even by the ounce. But for the purposes of this video, I wanted to show you the 8 teaspoons that I'm putting in my 4-gallon sprayer. All right, let's give this a little stir. And into the sprayer. Now we're just going to top her off with some more water from my blue mixing tank. There we go. Time to go kill some thrips. Here are the tomatoes we're going to be spraying today. This is our 4th planting of tomatoes right here, and that is our 5th planting of tomatoes. So we have them staged in numerous plantings within our 4 greenhouses. Turn it on. Now watch this spray one. Can you see that nice mist coming out of there? It's just on demand. I love it. No more pumping. No more throwing it up on my back. I can just walk down the aisle and spray away. So I'm going to show you real quick what I'm going to be doing, but I'm going to do it down the whole row. I'm going to hold it on like that and just walk up and down the row and make sure I get good coverage all the way down, especially on the undersides of the leaves. I don't want them drenched and dripping like that. That just happened because I was standing in one spot. Now the reason I'm only spraying the bottom half of the plant is because that is where the thrips normally are. The other reason is that it is the middle of the day and I don't want to get a lot of the spray on the tomatoes themselves or the flowers up above. You can see how they're all flowered out, and my bumblebees are in here today. I don't want to spray my bumblebees. This could harm the bumblebees somewhat, so we don't want them to get it on them. So we're just spraying down here, the bottom part of the plant. Getting some good coverage, especially on the undersides of the leaves where the thrips hide. Now, obviously, if I had an outbreak that was all over the plant, I would be spraying the entire plant, but I would be doing it late at night when the sun's not out and after my pollinating bumblebees are no longer active and are back in their hive. Now, by spraying weekly, I can stay on top of the insects before there's an outbreak. Even though I don't currently see any thrips or spider mites or aphids out here, oftentimes they are out here. You just can't see them until it's too late and there's already an outbreak or they've already exploded. So by doing this weekly, I can stay on top of those and keep them in check. I'll give you a quick peek at greenhouse planting number 2. You can see how loaded they are to the max. But I just sprayed these a few days ago, so I don't need to spray them today. But I do need to spray the grape tomato greenhouse again, so that's where we're heading next. Into the grape tomato greenhouse. We just started picking today, actually. Just a little bit, only 6 pints, but at least we finally started. But they are loaded and they are beautiful. So many grape tomatoes in here. And I do not want thrips and spider mites to get out of control in here like they did last year. Just look at those. Here is some thrip damage I wanted to show you. They pierce the cell wall with their little sucking mechanism and leave behind a bleached out section of leaf with little white dots. So that's thrip damage. So they have been in here. And on the underside of the leaves, you often will find them in the larval stage, kind of squirming around. So I definitely want to get these sprayed again, stay on top of them, and keep these things at bay. I can usually get 1 greenhouse done per tank. So if I want to spray all 4 greenhouses, it'll take me at least 4 loadings of this 4-gallon backpack sprayer, maybe 5. It all depends on how slow I walk and how heavy I am applying the spray. I really like this sprayer, guys. If you are interested in learning more about this sprayer, I do plan on doing a full review of this sprayer. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will be putting out a video eventually on all the details about this sprayer and why I like it so much. And just like that, we have 1 greenhouse completely done. Goes pretty quick. The sprayer is a phenomenal time saver for me. Even though that big motorized sprayer can spray more of the plant faster, it's just more time consuming to get it out and get it ready and get it cleaned up. This is so quick and easy. You know, one of the main things I really like about these 5 products is that they are all labeled for organic use. They are all natural, they are biopesticides. A lot of people are under the misconception that if you are organic, you aren't spraying. That is not the case. Organic growers still spray. They just use products like these that are labeled for organic use. And a lot of them are all natural. So that's the main thing I like about them. I like knowing that I am not spraying harsh chemicals on the food that me and my family will be eating, or my customers. Alrighty folks, there you have it. Those are my 5 favorite organic pest control products that we use here at Wishwell Farms. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing and turning on all notifications so you don't miss out on any of our future farming videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all again next time down on the farm.